Welcome to this video, A Month of Mindfulness, a series of monotangles taught to increase your awareness of here and now with your pen. Today is day 7, and I'd like to find a little bit of joy in a tangle which is beautifully organic, and I like to do sometimes when I'm having a bit of one of those haywire days, when everything's just not quite going along as planned. Everything seems to come along. Maybe it feels always rushed and out of place, no matter how hard you try to gather it in. So this is a tangle that I'm going to do again on my little hexagon tile. So I hope you've got your pen, your pencil, and a blending tool with you, and whatever shape of tile you want to draw on today or in the next page on your journal. This little tangle doesn't start with a string, but instead just gets going with the pen. So grab your pens and I invite you to join me. Just like the day, it's going to start with a little drama, and so just somewhere inside the middle of the tile, just start drawing a series of little orbs. And as I say, it's all gone a bit haywire, so instead of worrying too much about exactly where your pen is, I'm just going to pop on a few black orbs that sort of scurry around on the pen, just separating them ever so slightly to give each one of them a little bit of definition. I'm not too worried it isn't full drama, just a little scurrying of the pen, just to calm you down, get something onto the tile to begin with. Just a wee group in the middle, or roughly the middle. And then it's going to use that elemental stroke of the double curve, or as I like to always call it, my lazy S. And I'm going to head my lazy S from the middle out to the edges. I might just do it this way round. So I'm going to start it here, and I'm just going to lazy S it out towards the edge. And then I'm going to give it a tethering. So by that I just mean I start my pen on the same point. I'm going to go a little wide, and then I'm going to join and tether it at the other end. All these tethered lines. And I'm going to do that from various places, from the middle, outside, to the outside edge. Just enjoy now, just smoothing that day down with these gentle S's. Heading out to the circumference of your tile or your section. Really focus on that line you're doing just now. Don't worry about those other parts of the day. Just focus on here and now. And you'll find you come back round to where you started. And I'm now going to do a little bit of drawing behind. In this case, I'm going to take one of my elements, and this time I'm going to start in between, and I'm going to head off underneath and come back round, almost doing a lazy Z, but using the drawing behind technique. Whether you choose to start out on the edge and wave one of them round, or whether you continue to start where your black orbs are, and gently find one of your lazy S's with which you can do a little bit of drawing behind on the squid-like tentacle that appears behind the first one. Sometimes your pen might travel a little bit further just to get that point. Other times you might join in exactly where you started. I tend to start my little S's and Z's a little bit further away from my black orbs, just to keep them in definition, but you're most welcome to join them right up. And I'm going to keep rotating that tile. You rotate that tile or your journal. And you really, with this one, keep going to tie up all the spaces with some beautiful wavy tethered auras. All these little haywire days, parts of the day, perhaps, are just smoothing out with a little bit of focus for a few minutes. And then, once you think you've got enough of those little wavy lines in, we're going to go back to our original black orbs in the middle. And some of these wee orbs just have got fallen out of the main cluster and perhaps nestled inside where some of your squid tentacles cross, or perhaps they're floating away on their own. We're not too worried about exactly where the pen is going. If those little orbs have little scruffy lines as you slowly rotate round, that's okay. It gives it a lovely little definition within those orbs, just having a little bit of scruffy white. You may want to make the orbs in the middle a little bit bigger, that group. That's fine too. Maybe have a few slightly smaller ones as well. Feel free to change the scale as you add these black orbs until you think you have enough around, and then we can switch to our pencils and do a little bit of shading. I might just pop a little bit of shading where my drawing behind is, adding a tiny little bit of graphite just on the element that is underneath. Rotate your tile just to make that adding of graphite the same repetitive stroke as you go round your tile. And perhaps you add a little bit of shading just at the centre of those wavy elements where they join in to the black orbs. I like to add my graphite first and then switch to my tortillon. Some people prefer to just do one element at a time, shading that one element with a bit of graphite and then blending it with the tortillon and then moving on to the next element. Whichever works for you is absolutely fine. Perhaps if my elements were bigger, that's a more obvious route to go. Perhaps if they're smaller, you can do it in the graphite stage and then the blending stage. Just be careful as you're pushing the graphite into the texture of your card or paper that you're popping it in the right place. Gently rotate your tile round to make that easier for you. And there we are with my little squid. It looks like it's having a bit of a haywire day itself, but hopefully you've got some calm out of it. I will rotate it round and decide where perhaps I want to pop my chop. I might just stick it in underneath gently one of these wee tentacles. And if you feel that it's sort of floating off and doesn't have a junction, you are most welcome, of course, to just add a little bit of a pen string line in behind. If you want to do that now, if you're quite happy with where your beautiful tentacles are heading off to, that's fine too. I might just give it a gentle border using areas of sparkle just behind where I've already drawn some lines. There we go, I've contained my haywire squid. Of course, there are other ways of adding this in. If you choose to not centre your squid, you can have him sort of travelling off in a different direction. Or if you're not really an organic lines person, perhaps you go for straight lines and just change that elemental stroke as you're going. So there we are, day 7, and we found a joy in a little bit of a haywire day.